What's up guys, it's Spiderwolf for another JJKPhantomparade video. So today we're going to be going over the brand new limited time Gojo that's going to be coming out later tonight. And yeah, as well as, should you summon. Before I get started though, I'd greatly appreciate it because if you drop me a like, comment, subscribe would really help me out turning to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. But with that being said, let's get right into this. So got a brand new Gojo coming in 0.2 or was that 0.2 seconds Gojo here, as well as a couple brand new recollection bits. We're also going to be at the story event battle here, which is going to be I think lottery event. Yeah, lottery event. So the usual, you gotta get to box 6 or 7, and from there you get a free multi for the Gojo, as well as a recollection bit, some other goodies as well. So pretty cool. Of course, is the main big thing, is the reason why everybody's excited for this Gojo, is that he's a limited character. So that's kind of like one of the bigger things, right? We're also going to be getting this limited time starter gift select gacha, which basically you can select 3 SSR characters and they're going to have a higher rate. It is going to be with paid cubes here, as it says. So let's just say basically choose 3 SSR characters, their rates are going to be increased, and then I think you just do 1 10 roll with paid cubes, and then you can perform draws within 14 days after first entering the gacha. So basically once it goes live later tonight, then pretty much you select your 3 characters and then just do 1 multi, and this will be like lasting for basically 2 weeks. If it has like Choso, it might be worth it. Otherwise, if it's just like these characters, then it's kind of like whatever. I mean, some characters aren't too bad, right? Or like heck, even if Yellow Shoko's on here, that could be pretty cool too. But otherwise, might not be too good. I'll probably cover it when we do our summons for Gojo. I'll make a video for that. Hopefully it'll be up, I'll be able to have time to upload it. My summons, we'll hopefully also cover this, was it like maybe tomorrow, but we'll see how that goes. We're also going to be getting this prison island arc as well, which will give a free recollection bit too. We're also going to be getting an event marathon, since this is like a little bit of like a semi celebration because of the Gojo. So it's going to have a couple cubes, free SSR ticket, which is great, so love that. Other useful materials. And yeah, let's get right into Gojo. Let's see where he is, because to be honest, I don't really know what this Gojo does, to be honest. I know like JP leaks and all that, the information's already out for a while, but I kind of just like looking at it when it comes to global, because it's like, hey, I think it matters a little bit more than. Anyways, let's see. So he's blue, we know that he is limited. He does have stats for his physical and jujutsu here. Let's see. So he doesn't have any characteristics, but he is able to black flash, so that's pretty important, I'd imagine. So skill 1, converge and strike. At level 1, you deal 252.4 melee physical damage to 1 enemy for 4 hits. You increase the selected enemy's break damage received by 150% for 1 turn 1 time, and you deal an additional 214.9% melee physical damage to 1 enemy. Your crit rate is going to be 50% for the first and 4th hit, and on the final 5th hit, which is interesting they mentioned that because you only get 4th hits, but I think they're talking about the additionals, most likely what they're talking about. So on the additional 214, that will have a 100% guaranteed crit. Otherwise, the first 4 hits, which is going to have 252 at level 1, is going to have a 50% chance to crit, and you're going to have 50% crit damage, and the black flash rate is going to be 20%. Black flash damage is going to be 150%. At level 10, well, that's a big buff. Okay, that's a very significant. At level 10, it's going to be 500% melee physical damage, and then an additional 300% melee physical damage with a guaranteed crit. But of course, the break damage received is still the same. Mind you, right, this is only going to work with this Gojo. So basically, like when you do skill 1 here with Gojo, you do this big hit attack for 4 hits. Then you increase the selected enemy's break damage received, and then the 5th hit, which has guaranteed crit, will deal, we'll be able to basically abuse that, pretty sure. I mean, maybe the debuff will go before you do the 5 hits. Hopefully that's the case, because that would be even better. But yeah, at the very least, it'll basically only work during the 1 turn 1 time. Also, since it is 1 time, that means basically whatever the enemy gets hit with, so yeah, most likely it's going to be you do the 4 hits, then you apply the debuff, and then you use it with the final 5th hit, right? At level 8 though, it's going to be 445 and 281, so still pretty good for the most part, but a significant jump to 500%. So yeah, that is quite strong. That's like actually like a really good skill for just the skill level 1, because usually skill 1s are like never super crazy for the upgrades, but this is quite good. This is like really good. You're gonna be getting a lot of damage out of this for single target hits. Skill 2 here, Massacre at level 1 costs 1 cursed energy. Doesn't really matter with Gojo, right? Because cursed energy, it's like he doesn't need to worry about it really. But he deals 412 melee physical damage to all enemies, so it's going to be AoE for 2 hits. You decrease all enemies' critical hit resistance by 14.3% for 3 turns, and you increase your own physical stat by 14.3% for 5 turns. That's pretty good. And then you have a crit rate, 10% chance on the first hit, 40% on the second hit. But there's no black flash multipliers on this one, but maybe you'll be able to do it if, you know, through other means. At level 10 though, it's going to be 550 AoE damage, and then 30% crit hit resistance increase to all enemies, and then, or decrease all enemies crit. So basically enemies are going to be able to get, it's going to be easier to crit enemies by 30% for 3 turns, and you're going to be increasing your physical stat by 30% for 5 turns. At level 8 though, it's going to be 519, 226.3 or 26.5% for critical hit resistance, and 26.5 for physical buff for Gojo. But since it is for 5 turns, you know, at level 10, to make it easier, if you're to stack this up for 4 turns, it's going to be 120% physical stat buff. So, you know, on the 5th turn, you're going to get an additional 150, but yeah, it's pretty good, right? So overall, you know, really great skill. Might be worth to level up to 10, but usually you want to go for ultimate first, right? But at the very least, you know, a very good skill as well. Loving what skill 2 does, really nice. Plus AoE is pretty good too, and also the damage multiplier is quite high, right? It's not low. I guess the one negative is that there's no black flash array multiplier, but I mean, like, it's fine. I don't think it's too big of a deal. Skill 3 here, at level 1, also costs 1 cursed energy. You deal 412 range Jujutsu damage to all enemies, so another AoE attack. You increase all enemies damage, all enemies break damage received by 36.2% for 5 turns, but it cannot be stacked. At level 10, you're going to deal 550 range Jujutsu damage, and then it's going to be 45% break damage received to all enemies. Then at level 8, it's going to be 519 AoE damage of Jujutsu, and 43% break damage received. So I'm assuming since it's, what is it? I'm assuming if you were to apply skill 3, then you wouldn't be able to get the 150% from skill 1, I'm assuming how that would work, because this doesn't stack. So depending on how some fights may go, you may not want to use skill 3 too often, and you might just want to rely on skill 1, right? Like one good example would be like a boss, right? Like for a boss, you maybe don't want to use skill 3. Now mind you, right, this is going to be for 5 turns. If you were to do a level 10, it would be 45% break damage received by, you know, for 5 turns, which is nice. So that means other people on your team can, you know, use that. Otherwise, with skill 1 here, it's a bigger multiplier, but it's only for skill 1. Like, you would only use it for that 1 turn, 1 time, because it's only going to be used for whenever, you know, it's only going to proc when you do skill 1. So there's some, you know, caveats to that, but in some cases, maybe you may not want to do skill 3, because maybe you want to rely solely on Gojo doing the break damage and having the 150% multiplier. But in other cases, maybe you do want the 45%, because that way your other team members can also do attacks to break down the break bar. But, you know, pretty good. You know, nothing too crazy. It is cool though that he does have 2 different AoE attacks. But yeah, for general, like wave clearing, or there's like multiple enemies, you could probably do like, you know, your skill 2, then your skill 3, and then just go back to skill 2, since you can't really stack up skill 3. In terms of damage, you are dealing the same amount. The one thing that is also quite funny though is that skill 2 is only physical. You deal the same amount of percent damage, but it's going to be based off physical damage. And then skill 3 is the same thing multiplier wise, but it's going to be based off Jujutsu damage. So most likely you just want to run like a mix recollection bit on this Gojo. But if you really wanted to, you could try to like kind of meme build and like maybe focus only on one of these. But I think overall you probably just want to do mix, like to like the easiest, right? You know, get the best of both worlds. But I just thought that was pretty interesting. So, you know, I think like the general way you would go about it would be like you go in, you do your skill 2, then you do your skill 3, and then you just go back to skill 2 and just start spamming that, so that way you increase your physical buff. I think you might be able to stack the crit hit resistance debuff. Since it's for 3 turns, you can maybe stack it at least 2 times to an enemy, and then you're dealing pretty good damage, but you know, it's gonna be physical based. So, but I think for the most part, it should be fine. Also, you do get an extra crit rate, you know, 40% on the second hit. So, also, you know, kind of makes it more worthwhile. I feel like skill 3 is more of like you just use it one time, and then you're basically just spamming skill 2 until you need to reapply skill 3, you know, with the break damage received. But that's just how I look at it. Anyways, you know, not too bad, pretty nice. Let's go on to ultimate here. So infinite void here, domain expansion at level 1. You do your domain expansion, so you grant sure hit effect to self for 1 turn. You inflict all enemies with stun, infinite void status for 2 turns, so just like the red Gojo. Inflicts all enemies with infinite void status for 3 turns. Prevents all enemies from increasing their ultimate skill count for 3 turns. You increase all enemies break damage received by 50% for 3 turns. And then applies the following effect to self. Cancels out infinite void and attack immunity. Once domain expansion ends, you deal 800% melee physical damage to all enemies for 4 hits, but you do leave at the end of the turn. At level 10, it's going to be you deal 1,700 melee physical damage to all enemies, and then everything else is the same. So basically, you get the same domain expansion that the red Gojo has, and then you deal 1,700 at level 10, AoE damage once it is over. So basically, I think it's for how long is it? I think for 3 turns. Yeah, so I think it's for 3 turns. Basically, you have I think after 3, it's either after 2 or 3 turns. I'm gonna assume it's 3 because it says infinite void status here. So after 3 turns, you will deal this 1,700 melee physical damage to all enemies, but Gojo will leave after that. And then at level 7, it's going to be 1,400, so not too bad. But of course, you probably want to level to level 10 because you do get a lot of this. So I'd say skill leveling wise, you probably want to do the ultimate first. You know, yeah, I think the ultimate for sure. That way, because you get a lot more damage out of this, almost 2k, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'd say you want to go with the ultimate first, and then after the ultimate, you would probably do skill 2, and then at that point, yeah, I think you would do skill 3 just so you can get more break damage received. But at the same time, I think it also isn't too bad to consider maybe skill 1. But at the same time, skill 1 is only really there for if you want extra single target damage. Otherwise, you could probably, yeah, I mean, because like with skill 1's great for bosses because you're dealing like a lot of damage, 500 plus an extra 300% with high and guaranteed chance to crit. So skill 1's gonna be really good for bosses. But yeah, I'd say you do ultimate, then you do skill 2, then you do skill 3, and then you do the first skill. But if you really wanted to, you could do first skill and then skill 3. But I think overall, skill 3 is more valuable. Is better basically to do over skill 1, since skill 1's basically it's mainly there for damage, whereas this is giving you break damage received to all enemies increase, you know, the more you level it up. So I think that's probably the way you want to go about it. But yeah, honestly, so far pretty good, you know, for skills on ultimate. Really good stuff. Nothing like super crazy like broken wise, but I think for the most part it's pretty good. Definitely more of a DPS Gojo here with like some support capabilities, but he's mainly like a DPS character. For his combined ultimate here, or combo ultimate, you deal 256 melee physical damage to all enemies. You recover Gojo's and the allies' curse energy by 20, and then you fill everybody's ultimate gauge by 10. So nothing too crazy. For hidden potential stage 2 though, you deal 384 melee physical damage. Curse energy recovery is the same, and then you also fill Gojo's and the allies ultimate by 220, so you get a little bit of a pretty good ult recovery back from doing combo ult, so that's actually quite nice. Might be worth going for, to be honest. Like, it's not super broken, I think, but I mean, it sounds pretty good, so I think if you are able to do it, might as well, right? Now, auto skills here, we have break enhancement. So at the start of battle, you increase your own damage dealt by 50%, effective when the selected enemy is in break state. Okay. So just, yeah, Gojo just straight up just gets 50% damage dealt increase for forever, pretty much. Effective when selected enemies in. But I guess, so I'm not too sure why they have the effective when selected enemy is in break state. So I don't know if they're saying that. Oh yeah, because this is break enhancement, right? So I'm assuming the way it works is that you're gonna have this 50% damage dealt, but it's only gonna activate when the enemy becomes broken. Otherwise, this will just be like a passive buff that'll like not activate until the enemy is broken, and then when the enemy is broken, then you get an extra 50% damage buff. Otherwise, it's just gonna be like a thing that just kind of stays in the background for a little bit. Zone Outburst. When Black Flash is performed, you increase physical and jutsu step by 25% for 4 turns, and you recover your own HP by 20%, so that's really good. Unfortunately though, so far, actually no, I'll give my thoughts after, because we haven't gone through all the skills yet, all the passive skills. Let's see, Desperate Decision. At the start of battle, grants Desperate Decision state to self for 10 turns, okay. I'm gonna assume this is probably gonna be like the thing where he like leaves, right? Because all modern time Gojos do leave after a certain amount of time, so I'm assuming that's what this probably is. At the start of the turn, you increase your own physical and jutsu step by 20% for 1 turn. Each turn that passes though, you increase the effect by 10% up to 80%, so that's pretty good. So basically after, well, it goes up by 10, right? It's gonna be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So after 6 turns, you will have 80% physical and jutsu stat buff. After on the 6th turn, you'll have 80%. Okay. Once Desperate Decision state has ended, you fill your own ultimate gauge to max. Ult gauge cannot be reduced until ultimate has been performed. Command skills are disabled, so you have to do the ultimate. If self is unable to use domain expansion and Desperate Decision state has ended, grant strategic retreat status and leave the battlefield after 1 turn. When self is leaving battlefield, increases all remaining allies physical and jutsu step by 60% for 4 turns. So that's a pretty good support buff right there when he does leave. So that makes it at least not as bad because you know most Gojos when they leave, they don't really do anything for the team. This Gojo actually does give a buff for the whole team, which is a pretty good, significant, and great buff. 60% for 4 turns is really, really good. I do find it interesting too is that you can probably, actually no, I was gonna say you can maybe use this Gojo's ultimate maybe 2 times per turn. I mean, maybe it's possible. Like maybe if you're able to combo it, like maybe you're on the what is it? Maybe you're on like the 8th or 9th turn. You pop Gojo's ultimate, and then maybe when his Desperate Decision is already on turn 10, then maybe you can pop it again. I don't know if you can do that, but if you can, that'd be kind of crazy. But at the same time, maybe not. I don't know, because he does leave after he does do his domain expansion, his ultimate, right? He does leave, but it's after the domain expansion ends, right? So he'll still stick around for like an additional 2 or 3, I think for 3 turns. So maybe you can do it 2 times, but I don't think so. But if you can, that'd be kind of cool. Anyways, though, it is cool though, at the very least though, that when he does leave after 10 turns, he will pop the ultimate, or well, you have the ability to pop the ultimate, right? Because no skills are going to be activated, or you can't do any skills, you have to do the ultimate. But as it does mention though, if you're not able to do the domain expansion because maybe the enemy does something to where it screws you over, like he maybe gets stunned somehow or whatever, then he will just like leave. Otherwise, you'll basically always have this ultimate guaranteed no matter what after basically when he's right about to leave at turn 10. I think it's really cool. Plus the fact that he gives like this team-wide buff literally when he leaves, I think it's just great. So I think that makes this Gojo really, really good. Limitless Technique. At the start of battle, you grant attack immunity to self, which yeah, you know, every Gojo basically has. But yeah. Okay, so one thing I wanted to talk about really quick, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to stop real quick before I was talking about it, because I want to see what the rest of his passives are, was the Zone Outburst. So increasing physical and jutsu step by 25% for 4 turns is great. Recovers own HP. I mean, you know, could be useful because I mean, there are times where Gojo might get hurt a little bit, but for the most part, Gojo's probably fine. The main thing is that the buffs are good, right? But the main thing I want to talk about though is that you have to do Black Flash, and the only skill that really has a chance of doing that is skill 1, but it's only 20%. So, you know, it's gonna be a bit difficult to get that in my opinion, because nothing else is really helping him with that. I think if I remember correctly, I want to say, let me check, because what is it, the recollection bit that Yuji got? I'm wondering if because I kind of forgot if that one buffs your chance of getting more Black Flashes. Let's see, gacha limited. No, it's not that one. It's going to be here. Where is it? Whether like yeah, this one. Let me see. Yeah. One self-receiving Black Flash counts. Black flashes perform, you increase, yeah. Okay. So it doesn't buff your black flash chance. Okay, because I was gonna say, because yeah, otherwise the black flash stuff is cool that it's there, but like you're only having a chance of getting that on skill 1 and it's only 20% chance. So this Gojo probably won't be seeing that many black flashes, unfortunately, which kind of does suck. Maybe there'll be a character in the future that will be able to be like support that can buff that chance for characters to do more black flashes. But yeah, otherwise he's not gonna be able to do not too much with that. But you know, overall, I think he's a really good character. I think he's going to be great. Also, you know, which most people have probably talked about, he's definitely support for the blue team with Blue Yuta. I mean, Blue Yuta will definitely love this nice juicy buff here of physical and Jujutsu stat by 60% when Gojo does leave. But yeah, this Gojo will definitely be a part of the main blue team, so definitely a worthwhile pickup if you do really want a blue character. But if you are low on cubes, you can maybe skip out on him, but at the same time he's a limited character, so you might as well get him. I think he's worthwhile to get. I think he's really good. Tier list, I'd say easily between, maybe not triple S tier, but I'd say he's double S tier at the very least for sure. And then as a support character, I'd say he's at least double S tier as well. I mean, some stuff that he does do is great that I feel like can make him triple S tier, but I mean, it's not like super crazy support stuff to where I'm like, I think at the very least he's definitely double S tier for both support and damage, because he's not doing like a crazy ton of damage. I mean, the ultimate's pretty high with it almost being 2k, but then that's kind of it. And then support wise, he's only doing like the stat increase and then crit down and then break damage or see, which don't get me wrong is great, but it's not like crazy absurd numbers like Mahito, right? So that's why I kind of feel like this blue Gojo is probably going to just be double S tier for both damage and support, but I think he's still really, really good as a strong pickup. Definitely on the higher end, both of those. Also, we got 2 new recollection bits here. So I think this is the, yeah, this is going to be the gacha one. So the gacha recollection bit, only physical though, only physical, no Jujutsu stat here. So when you do anything, a skill or ultimate, you increase your own physical stat by 90% for 1 turn 1 time. And if the character that has this is blue, you increase all allies damage dealt by 20% for 3 turns. After 7 turns have passed though, so that's a bit of a nerf. With 1 dupe, if the equipped character leaves the battlefield after 8 turns have passed, you recover all allies cursed energy by 10, and then with 3 dupes, you're going to be increasing your physical stat by 95%, and then that's pretty much it. But it does also have a 12 turn cooldown. So basically, my understanding of this is that this is kind of working where you could use this early if you wanted to. Otherwise, the main idea is you basically use this when this Gojo is about to basically leave, basically. Because after 7 turns, you get the support buff here. And then same thing with this one, the curse energy. You get that after he leaves. Otherwise, you could get the 95% stuff, but you know, it's kind of whatever. So you can use this basically for any physical blue characters. This would be great for them because 95% stat buff is really good for physical. But the other stuff is basically tailor-made for Gojo when he's about to leave. So basically on turn 10 or whatever, you would have access to this for team-wide buffs or support, and also this for team-wide support. So this makes this Gojo more of a support character. But it does also limit him to basically only being able to, basically limits you to having to wait till like turn 8 minimum. Pretty much, you would have to wait till at least 8 turn, until at least 8 turns have passed. Then you would basically use this. Otherwise, you wouldn't really use this. But at the same time, I think that's fair because you really don't want to use Gojo's ultimate until you're okay and being, unless you're okay with like Gojo being like, all right, Gojo's gonna leave in 3 turns. I'm okay with that, and then you know other character swaps in, right? So I mean it's pretty good, I'd say for the most part, but definitely like mainly only tailor-made for Gojo. But you can use this for any blue physical characters if you really wanted to. But I mean at the same time, if we were to go look real quick, there isn't really that many great options for the blue team for physical characters. I mean there's Maki. I mean there's Yuta kinda, but he's also like, he does taijutsu for a little bit, then he swaps to jujutsu. So yeah, because he does jujutsu after the ultimate, so it's like, well, you know, it's not really gonna you know, it's not really great for Yuta, right? So otherwise your only other option would be blue Maki, and then that's kind of it. So yeah, not really at the moment, doesn't have too many uses, but it's not a bad recollection for sure. I think it's still worthwhile to pick up if you, or at the very least if you do get it, I think it is at the very least a good recollection bit. Now we have the free-to-play one here, so it is mixed stats, and then when you do any skill or ultimate, you increase your own break damage by 40% for 1 turn, and then if it's a blue character, you increase your own break damage by 15% for 1 turn. One dupe is going to give you, when you do the ultimate, you decrease all allies damage received by 5% for 3 turns once per battle. Kind of honestly kind of ass, it's like really low. And then with 3 dupes, you increase your own damage dealt by 45% for 1 turn, and then you increase your own break damage by 20% for 1 turn on an 8-tier cooldown. I guess this is like a decent option if you want to make this Gojo be a bit more of a DPS character and have a little bit of support for the team, but yeah, it's just like, it's like a decent DPS recollection for this blue Gojo, where you can spam out his skills, and then for like 1 time, basically, yeah, literally only for 1 time during your entire fight with Gojo, you'd be able to use this because it has an 8-turn cooldown. So literally, at that point, I don't think it's even worth it, because you can use it on like 1 skill, and then it's like, oh, cool. My 1 skill gets 45% damage dealt and break damage, and then that's it, you know. So for Gojo, it's kind of whatever. For other characters, it could be decent, you know, for sure. For any other blue characters, like, I mean, Yuta could use this because it is mixed, so this could work for him. But yeah, honestly, it's kind of whatever. I'd say it's like not that great. And then here's gonna be the one from the new story mode with Prison Island. So a 1 dupe, or what was it? The first thing we got here. So when you ever do a skill or ultimate, you increase your own damage dealt by 35% for 2 turns. You increase the value of 2 of self-eligible debuffs by 10%. Prioritizes the most recent debuffs. 1 dupe, it's going to be at the start of the turn. If your own curse energy is 20 or below, you recover own curse energy by 10 once per battle. And then at 3 dupes, it's going to be 40% damage dealt. I mean, okay, 7-turn cooldown. Something not too crazy. Definitely like a mid-tier one. But yeah, I'd say for these free-to-play recollection bits, easily, yeah, they're both DPS focused. I mean, they're for sure combined. I'd say they're definitely going to be like A, B tier. Not really that crazy. This one though, the gacha one, for sure, it is going to be, yeah, it's DPS and also support. So I say for DPS, because it is buffing your damage, right? Yeah, I'd say easily double S tier for sure for physical. Double S tier for sure. It is limited though, so it would be more on the type over here, but definitely double S tier. And then as support, I'd say also double S tier. I think the fact that it gives you all allies 20% damage though for 3 turns and Licorice energy is great, but the one caveat is that it is have to be only for blue characters, and then you do have to wait after like 7 and 8 turns. But I think overall it's still really good. One of the better recollections of the game. If you're doing like longer form content, this would be really good for that. Otherwise, for short form content, not really super crazy, other than just being like a bit of a stat stick for whenever you do your ultimate. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up. This video has been going on for a little bit too long, so if you guys are here, I do appreciate it. You know, be sure to drop a like, you know, it would really help me out. So you guys did make it this far. And yeah, also really quick for the timeline, if you guys are curious, you know, we'll just talk about this real quick. We're already getting this. We have not gotten this, so this might be coming out in a week or 2. I can see this coming out soon. This limited time gacha rerun with these 3 characters, this Choso thing. There's also this Mai thing as well that we have not gotten, and also we have not gotten the New Year stuff. So this maybe is coming next week. Who knows? For sure. But yeah, that pretty much wraps things up. So to wrap things all up here, should you summon for this Gojo? I'd say it kind of depends a little bit on your account. Like if you already have Blue Yuta, you probably don't need him, and especially if you're like low on cubes. But at the same time, this is a limited time gacha. It's Gojo. Recollection it's pretty good as well. So I think it's pretty good if you do want to summon on it. But at the same time, it's not like this Gojo is super broken like Mahito or like Yuta, where like you really need him. It's just more stuff like you have him and you get him. Pretty cool. I guess another way to put it is like, he's kind of like Yellow Sukuna, but like a bit better, right? Because this Gojo does offer a bit more support, especially for the blue team. So yeah, it's kind of like Yellow Sukuna, where you don't like, if you already have like Zone Yuji, you don't really need the yellow Fuga Sukuna. but at the same time, getting the characters cool, and also because they're limited and yada yada yada, right? So I'd say overall, definitely a worthwhile pickup. Would highly recommend. But yeah, with that being said, go through your guys' summons. Let me know how they went down in the comments below. And with that being said, I'm gonna see y'all later. Peace and take care, everybody. Also, fine, you know, we got content on global.